Good evening and welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight's stories include will be replaced in the third. I call upon the people.
I look forward to seeing a large number of you at that meeting.
Work has started on the 7 by 70 foot wharf at Aaron's Arm. With the completion of the new RCMP duplex, there was a public meeting held on Monday night regarding the proposed incinerator site.
Camera. Shot. You're back. And let her stay back for a couple seconds.
Last week, Sandy visited the causeway and surrounding areas.
You go mow the lawn now.
Hey. That's right, you turn around there.
I haven't touched her. I ain't her in my pocket. Shy.
Oh. Oh my God, this is great. You don't sit down. Pat him on the head, got it? Pat him on the head. On the road, somebody's gonna kill. What about that one in Buckingham's? All kinds of goodies in here. What? No, what? It's right angle, so. Have you been in here? Yeah. I'll put this down.
Oh, I just was in there, go again,
Yeah, we're running.
Eh?
What's that called? Snagger.
Sorry. showed up. Cops or warden or
We now have Corporal White with the court report.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This broadcast is prepared for Sunday, the 7th of October. Thank you for watching. Judge Roach held court on the 25th of September at 10 o'clock in the morning. A number of people appeared at that time. Gary Benoit appeared in court, charged with break, enter, and theft. At that time, he entered a guilty plea, and that case was postponed to the 27th of November. Colleen Marks appeared on a number of charges: assaulting a peace officer, breach of probation, unlawfully in a dwelling house, 3 other charges of assault, uttering threats, and damage to property. She received a number of 2-month concurrent sentences on each charge and was sentenced to serve a total of 6 months in Her Majesty's Penitentiary. Clarence MacDonald appeared on 2 charges of sexual assault. That case was postponed to the 26th of November at 7 p.m., at which time he will elect his mode of trial and plead to the charge. Alexander Young of Ramia entered a plea of guilty to a charge of possession of stolen property relating to a theft of a rifle 5 years ago. He was fined $250. In default, 10 days in Her Majesty's Penitentiary, and he has 2 months to pay that fine. Dean Barter appeared on a number of charges. These charges were theft of automobile, 5 breaches of probation, trespassing by night, possession of stolen property, illegal possession of alcohol, and another count of possession of stolen property. He appeared on 10 counts altogether, for which he entered not guilty pleas, and all of these matters were set over to the 26th of November at 7 p.m. Todd Dunford appeared on a number of charges. They were supplying liquor to minors. He had 2 charges under the Liquor Control Act: possession of stolen property, possession of a narcotic, and 4 breaches of probation. These matters were postponed to the 26th of November at 7 p.m. for a plea. Pat Dollamont appeared on a charge of driving a motor vehicle while in excess of .08 on the breathalyzer. He pled guilty to that charge, and it was postponed to the 26th of November at 7 p.m. Finley Begg appeared on a charge of assault. However, that charge was withdrawn, and Mr. Begg was placed on a peace bond for 12 months. Paul Swift appeared on a charge of assault. He intended to plead guilty to that charge, and it was subsequently waived to Stephenville for court at Stephenville. Alfred Richter appeared in court for having his dogs roaming at large. He was fined $25. Blaine Dunlop failed to appear on 2 charges. 1 charge of theft, actually shoplifting from the local store, and another charge of trespassing by night. Bench warrants for his arrest were issued by the judge. Danny Anderson appeared on a charge of theft of motor vehicle and a charge of impaired driving. He pled not guilty to both these charges, which were set over to the 27th of November at 1:30 p.m. for trial. Fred Spencer also appeared in court on a charge of theft of motor vehicle. He entered a guilty plea, and that case was postponed to the 27th of November at 1:30. One male young offender from Burgeo appeared on 4 charges. These charges were 1 extortion, 2 theft, and 2 breaches of probation. Guilty pleas were entered on all 4 charges, and these cases have been set over to the 26th of November at 7 p.m., at which time sentencing will take place after a pre-sentence report is prepared. John Lushman of Ramya appeared on 2 charges, 1 charge of sexual assault on a female and another charge of indecent assault on a female. He appeared for a preliminary inquiry. It was found that there was enough evidence for Mr. Lushman to stand trial, and the case has been set over to Supreme Court on both charges. That's the extent of the court report for the 25th of September. However, I'd like to add a little bit more to this broadcast. I'm planning a meeting for the Citizens Advisory Group for Monday, the 22nd of October at 8:30 p.m. at the Parish Hall. Over this past year, I have had a number of news broadcasts on this matter. The purpose of the group, for those of you who aren't informed of this already, is to keep an interaction between our office and members of the community on a scheduled basis. A group will be organized in a committee-like structure with a membership of concerned citizens. The objective of the Citizens Advisory Group is to establish a good relationship between the police and the community and provide a system for discussion of police service problems and to allow for citizens' concerns as they relate to the RCMP. For example, just recently I have heard rumors, and that's all they are, rumors, people in the community passing comments, and people appear to be upset or disgruntled about the number of postponements during the recent court hearings. Now, there are a number of reasons for these adjournments. There are a number of reasons why they occur, and I won't go into those reasons right now, but it is matters like this and other matters which would be discussed within the Citizens Advisory Group so people get a better understanding of how the judicial system operates. The group will also guide the RCMP in certain matters, such as areas of concern which may need extra patrols to help stop damage to property, or liquor and drug abuse, to help Burgeo be a better place to live. Now, the Citizen Advisory Group probably won't solve all the problems, but it will help people understand viewpoints of the police, and it will help us understand the problems of the community. And the Citizens Advisory Group is a structure which will help bring concerns of the community to the attention of the police without a formal complaint having to be laid at our office. I now have a list of approximately 35 people who have called our office expressing an interest and would like to be on this group. However, I have very little input from the students from the elementary school or the high school, and I have very little interest expressed from persons in the business community. This particular advisory group can learn how to prevent crimes such as shoplifting, vehicle thefts, theft from the homes, and can also help to provide programs or direction on alcohol and drug abuse. I also urge senior citizens to become involved, as a group can deal with problems that affect the elderly as it relates to criminal activity. So if you're interested, if you're a student or a teacher or a senior citizen or a person involved in business, call our office and leave your number and we'll get back to you. Again, if you want to make note of this, I have planned a meeting for Monday, October the 22nd at 8:30 p.m. at the Parish Hall. Mark that date and drop in to hear more about the ideas of the Citizens Advisory Group, and I'll look forward to seeing a large number of you at that meeting. Thank you very much for watching our report. Good night.
The paving has been completed on the section of road from Peter Strides to Buck Lake. The section of road that was washed out in the spring was repaired this week. The St. John Central High softball team traveled to Cornerbrook on Saturday, September 29. They won their first game. They defeated Belanger by a score of 13-7. They went on to beat Templeton Collegiate by a score of 15-5 and Regina High by a score of 11-7. They then proceeded to the championship game where they defeated Regina High 17-12 to become Western Newfoundland slow-pitch softball champs. The team will be having a beer bottle drive on Tuesday, October 9th after school to raise money to go to the provincials, which will be held at Fortune on October 12th and 13th. This is the first sports team that has made it to the provincials at SJCH. Good luck, guys. Mr. Collier has the bi-weekly council report for this week.
Good evening once again, everyone, and welcome to another Town Council report. The following items were discussed at recent council meetings. Town Manager's Report. Regarding the Smalls Island Bridge, Mr. Kendall advised Council that work is expected to begin on this project sometime next week. Basically, this year, the work will consist of the hauling of fill to construct a causeway, so that next year, this causeway will be used to build the beams, etc. for the bridge itself. Funding for this project has been put into place at the Scotia Bank, with funds to complete the project to come from the 1991 Capital Works budget. Incinerator. Council was advised by Mr. Kendall that the town is now awaiting approval from the Department of Environment regarding the recommended site for the proposed incinerator. At a public meeting held last week regarding this proposed site, which is the same location as the present garbage dump, some concerns were raised by several townspeople. These concerns dealt mainly with such factors as smoke or other waste emissions, proximity of future town developments to the disposal site, etc. Officials from the engineering and environmental departments answered many of the concerns raised. Town manager informed council that if the site is approved, tenders will be called within 2 weeks for phase 1 of this project. This would include road and ramp construction to be done this fall. Throughout the discussion of this project, it was stressed the importance of proper maintenance of such a facility, plus the fact that there are very few site options for this incinerator to make it economically feasible for the town. New loader. There had been some unforeseen delays, but the new loader is now expected to be arriving sometime next week. Council also learned that our member Mr. Gilbert is meeting with Mr. Eric Gullidge, Minister of Municipal Affairs, in the near future. Among some items to be discussed is our water system and chlorine plant. This system is considered an industrial project and therefore would come under provincial responsibility. Mr. Kendall reported that 18 feet of concrete flooring had recently been completed at the new fire hall. The railing to Messer's Bridge had recently been repaired, and also damaged planks had been replaced. Council had recently informed our member Mr. Gilbert about the terrible driving conditions experienced during the road construction, especially on the Burgeo end. In a letter from Mr. Gilbert, the town was advised that maintenance material would be placed on this road and crushed stone would be placed also as soon as the crusher was in operation. Regarding a dentist and another doctor for Burgeo, council was informed that after some inquiries regarding the dentist who had expressed an interest in coming to Burgeo, it was learned that this dentist had since changed his mind about setting up practice here. Council will still continue to press for dental services for our area. Several applications from doctors have been received, and according to Dr. Watts, hospital administrator at Corner Brook, an appointment to the Burgeo Hospital is expected by mid-November. Mr. Cannell also told Council that a very preliminary survey was done by Atlantic Engineering Limited regarding the town's paving for next year. Every road, including all side roads, were looked at for such things as paving, drainage, widening, and also future sidewalks, fire hydrants, etc. These plans are to be presented for next year's capital works budget. While no figures were finalized, an estimate of $750,000 was given as an approximate cost for this project. Representatives from Buckens, Port of Ask, and Burgeo met recently at Burgeo to discuss the Buckens Southwest Road link. The main purpose of this meeting was to select a consulting firm which would be hired to do a feasibility study of this road should funding become available for such a study. Town manager also informed council that Mrs. Barbara Barter had recently been appointed to the Tax Review Commissioner for the 1991 taxation year. Building Committee. Permission was granted to an individual to construct a shed on his own property. Finally, for many of you who have made inquiries about the status of the Burgeo Museum, please be advised that the Museum Committee is still seeking to obtain property suitable for the establishment of such a museum for Burgeo. As soon as something definite is finalized about a particular piece of property, the committee will inform the public likewise. In the meantime, please hold on to anything you wish to donate to the museum a while longer. For anyone having any interest in joining the museum committee, you are more than welcome. Meetings are held at irregular times but will be advertised well in advance. Chairman of the museum committee is Mr. Gordon Ingram. Well, that's it for another town council report. Once again, thank you for watching, and until the next time, good night.
Gordon Ingram gave me some information this week concerning the proposed museum for Burgeo.
It's our proposed.
Butterfly ticket? Perhaps not.
That's our proposed
Got
museum,
me
sir.
for to get in.
That's our.
You getting it?
Yeah. It'd be nice though if they could get it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fire Chief Matthews, along with Mayor MacDonald, dropped by our studio this week to sign the proclamation declaring the week October 7th to October 13th as Fire Safety Week.
Whereas 80% of all fire fatalities in Canada occur in homes, and whereas changing risky behaviours and identifying and removing home fire hazards would prevent the majority of home fire fatalities, and whereas hunting for home hazards is something every member of the family can do, and whereas a family without a home fire escape plan, which includes knowing 2 ways out of each room, is a family with a home fire hazard, and whereas the Burgeo Fire Department and the fire service of this province are dedicated to the safety of life and property of its protected citizens from the devastating effects of fire, and recognize the value of property planning and preparedness before fire strikes, and whereas the members of the fire service are joined by the citizens of this community and business, schools, service clubs, and organizations in their fire prevention efforts. Therefore, I, Gerald MacDonald, Mayor of Burgeo, do do hereby proclaim the week of October 7th to the 13th, 1990 as Fire Prevention Week. This week commemorates the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, in which 250 persons were killed, 100,000 were left homeless, and more than 17,400 buildings were destroyed. I call upon the people of Burgeo to participate in activities at home, work, and school, and do as the Fire Prevention Week theme of 1990 suggests. Make your place fire-free, hunt for fire hazards, approved appliances, and smoke detectors save lives. Witness hereof, I hereunto sit my hand this 4th day of October, the year of our Lord, 1990.
Chief Matthews, what activities do you have planned for Fire Prevention Week?
Well, Dave, we're hoping to start off the week with a church parade to the Anglican Church on Sunday morning. That would be the members of the fire department and Burnett's, which is the fire department ladies' auxiliary. And after that, for the rest of the week, we'll be doing our usual Fire Prevention Week activities. The fire hall will be open every night of Fire Prevention Week from 7 to 9 p.m. There'll be somebody there every night to, if someone wanted to drop by, everyone is welcome to come in, talk to us. We have all kinds of fire prevention material on hand that is free. Any questions that we can answer, we would certainly only be too happy to do it. And if somebody got some questions we don't have the answer for, then we'll certainly try and get them. The slogan this year for Fire Prevention Week, the provincial slogan is approved appliances and smoke detectors save lives, and this really pertains to when they say approved appliances, is we still have the problem of so many fat fires. People use open pots to deep fat fry instead of thermostatically controlled deep fryers. We'll be doing inspections, fire inspections of most of the public buildings in town throughout the week. We'll do fire drills at the hospital and both schools. And we'll do any home inspections that if we're asked to do any home inspections, then we would certainly do them. As well, we expect to have visits at the fire hall from the school kids. We've already been invited to go to the school to take over some of our firefighting equipment and talk to the kids in grades, I believe, kindergarten to grade 3, so we'll be doing that. And as well, we'll be running films from Monday till Friday night on this channel, our fire awareness films. On Monday night, we'll be running a fat fire film. And this is not the film that we ran for the last 2 years now. It's a new one. It was made in Stephenville by the Stephenville Fire Department in conjunction with the Fire Commissioner's Office. They had a set built up, a kitchen and living room. It was built in Port aux in the Trades College there. It was transported to Stephenville and set up in one of the old hangars there. They did some demonstrations on fat fires using a Holton pot of fat, and they show some of the things that distract people when they have a pot of fat on. It also shows the importance of smoke detectors, because there's very little smoke in the room when the smoke detector goes off. After the last demonstration, the kitchen is allowed to burn, and you will see a fire there, which is an actual fire. It was extinguished by the Stephenville Fire Department, and the burnt out kitchen you will see is a kitchen you would see in any typical home after a fat fire, which is not a very pretty sight to look at when you see a place completely burned out and everything destroyed. On Tuesday night, we have a film on chimney fires, and this should be of great interest to people who have wood burning units installed, stoves or furnaces. It shows how to properly select the wood burning unit. how to look after the unit, keep it properly serviced, what to do in case of fire and things like that. So it's a very interesting film. On Wednesday night we have a film called Have a Wonderful Evening, which pertains to babysitters. Now I'll comment on that one a little later. On Thursday we have a film called Home Escape Planning, which is a group of kids got into pre-fire planning in school. They took it home, they got involved, they started to plan a home escape plan. Their parents really didn't put too much into it, they didn't show too much interest, but the kids came up with some very good ideas and made the parents feel guilty. So they got into the ball game too, and they did a real good job. So it just shows, it goes to show, you know, if you all pull together, you can come up with some good ideas in pre-fire planning. On Friday night, we have a film called Fire Safety for the Elderly. And again, this is a very interesting film, especially for the elderly. It shows many things they can do in pre-fire planning and how to act if a fire does take place. So it's a very good line of films. It's all new films this year. We haven't shown any of them before, so they should be quite interesting. To get back to the Wednesday evening's film, Have a Wonderful Evening, which, as I said, deals with babysitters. A babysitter was sitting at this particular house and a fire started, and it deals with probably knowing what to do, how to get the kids out, and how to act in a fire situation. And there is a program on the go by, sponsored by St. John Ambulance, and I'm hoping that we can get it on the go air. It's called What Every Babysitter Should Know. It's a 6.5 hour course, and it covers, there's one 4.5 hour segment which covers the responsibilities of a babysitter, preparing for babysitting, growth and development, toy selection, environment safety, nutrition, observational skills, and practical skills. And this will be taught by a registered nurse. We have a 1 hour segment on fire prevention, which would be taught by a firefighter. And we have a 1 hour segment on crime prevention and child abuse, which is taught by a member of the RCMP. So it's a 6.5 hour program, and if we can get enough interest shown from the public, then we'd certainly like to go ahead with it and probably get it on the go this fall.
So what age groups does it cover?
The age groups is 12 to 17. But again, depending on the interest shown, perhaps if we have a lot of interest and there's some older people who would like to do the program, then we may be able to work out something with St. John Ambulance that we could do that. But basically it's 12 to 17-year-olds it covers.
Is there a registration fee for the course?
Yes, there's a small registration fee of $8 per student.
And how many students are there per course?
The recommended number of students is 10 to 16 students per course.
Will there be a certificate certifying that you have completed the course?
Yes, as far as I know, there will be a certificate issued if you successfully complete the course. There will be a certificate of qualification issued at the completion. Yes.
Okay, so if someone is interested, how would they apply for the course?
Well, they could contact me, or they could contact any member of the fire department, and as soon as we see what interest is shown, if we have enough people there want to do it, then we'll certainly get it on the go, and hopefully, like I say, this fall we'll get one course on the go.
Okay, Chief Matthews, thanks for speaking with us. And remember to watch the film scheduled next week. There's lots you can learn.
Thank you, Dave.
Well, that's it for this week. Before we go, we would like to remind viewers that any story they know of, big or small, give us a call at 886-2935. We look forward to hearing from you. Special thanks to this week's volunteers, Jason White, Penny Dallman, Tracy Warren, and Sandy Strickland. We hope to have the first bandwagon of the season ready for the end of October. On behalf of BBS and the BBS volunteers, I'm Dave Cooper. Have a great week. Good night.